Hello, my name is Paul Dunn, and today I'm going to be showing you the first corporate law company secretarial software. So to access your account, you log on to our website, which is www.fcls.co.uk, which will bring up our webpage, and then we click the login button, put in your email address and password, and click login. Once we log in, you then have two options: form a company now or go to FirstOrder. So what I'm going to show you first of all is how to incorporate a new company through the system. So we click form a company now. You then have two options: form a company with your own officers or shareholders, or you can incorporate a company on a nominee basis. Most people nowadays add their clients at incorporation. Nominee is really the old way of incorporating companies. Next. What type of company would you like to set up? Limited by shares, limited by guarantee, or an LLP? So this is where we start to incorporate our company. So we just key in the name of the company that you wish to set up. If you know the name's available, fine. If not, you can do a name check. What type of company would you like to set up? So these are all the different types of limited companies that you can incorporate within the system. So a bog standard company, limited by shares, is £57 including VAT. That is for an all electronic formation and does include the registration fee. Just to make you aware, we don't use the model set of articles. Our articles are drafted by lawyers and agreed by counsel, so you get a proper draft. The system is automatically defaulted of ordinary shares. So if at this stage you wish to incorporate a company with multiple share classes, because I would say probably 95% now of all of our existing clients form companies of A and B shares at incorporation, regardless of whether they're going to use the shares or not, because it's more cost effective to form a company with share classes at incorporation than doing a share restructure later on down the line. If you wish to do this, just add a share type, put in the share class, the nominal value, and attach the voting rights for the shares, and a description of the voting rights are underneath. And you can just keep going, add as many different share classes as you wish. So now we have our ordinary and our A ordinary. Then we need to add in the client. So add a person. Now, if you have clients that form companies on a regular basis, the existing clients will appear in the drop-down box. So you don't have to key all the information in. You set them and all the information. We just need to tick the box and then add them in as a new person. So for demo purposes, I'm just going to select myself. I'm going to be a director. How many shares I'm going to have. And as you can see, the information that you need to provide if it was a new person is the same information as what you see on an APO1 form, or you key directly on the Companies House website. But it's just the basic information. Save. So we've now added me into the system. Next, the registered office. So if it's your organisation, just select this and your address will drop in. If it's the client, select the client or simply key this in. Then we need to put in our SIT code. So as soon as you start keying in the description, it will shortlist it and tell you what the code is. Then once we've keyed in the SIT code, the rest of the screen is if we require any additional goods with our incorporation. So as you can see, you can add in optional articles for preemption rights in favour of existing members, whether you like an objects clause, but most people just leave it with general commercial. And then underneath this, you can select additional goods with your incorporation. So if you require bound copies of the articles, a register, or a seal, for example. You can also register the company for the CT41G at incorporation. Whether you require hard copies of the first board minutes, although this can be done within the company's secretarial software, which I'll show you later. You can also introduce your client to business bank accounts. So as long as we have authorization from you and the client, for example, the top 10 banks in the UK will email the client and let them know of business bank accounts. Then we go next. That then will tell you who's going to appear on the PSC register just based on the information that I've keyed on the previous screen. So if you're happy that everything's been keyed in correctly, you can then submit the formation. That then will come through to us in the office. We leave it about 15-20 minutes before we lodge this at Companies House in case you or the client might change your mind. But if not, the company will then be lodged at Companies House. The company is formed within 24 hours, normally 2 to 3, but we have to say up to 24 because this is what Companies House say. As soon as the company has been incorporated, we will email you the certificate, the articles, the invoice, and the 6-digit authentication code for web filing. Behind the scenes, all your incorporation details will then flip into the FirstOrder secretarial system and your statutory books are automatically completed. We put a copy of the certificate and articles against the company, so you've got a copy online, and then we put the filing code against the company so you're ready to electronically file with Companies House. So this is how we set a company up, and now I'm going to show you the secretarial software. So when you first log into the secretarial side of the system, this is sort of your home page. So what it will show you at the bottom is any company incorporations that you've incorporated with us at the bottom. But what the system will also do is automatically remind you and email you of all your filing dates and deadlines for all your companies. Now, to get you kick-started, if you provide us with an Excel spreadsheet with the company numbers and the 6-digit authentication codes, we can upload and put all your companies onto the account for you free of charge. When we do this, all your statutory books are effectively up to date from the last confirmation statement. Unfortunately, it doesn't bring across historical data because Companies House does not provide this. But what will also come across is all the Companies House filing dates. So the system will start to email you and remind you of all your filing dates and deadlines for all your companies. Now, the system is fully automated. So every time you send in a confirmation statement or a set of Companies House accounts, for example, the system will know and update the deadline automatically. The system can also remind you of HMRC dates. Now, we've got no link at all to HMRC, so if you wanted the system to remind you of these dates, you will need to provide this on the spreadsheet that you give to us. So as I said, the system will automatically email you of your deadlines, but you can also run reports. So let's just say, for example, you like to know when your Companies House accounts are due. If we go into the Select All tab, Deadlines, and click on Companies House accounts, the system will give you a list of all the accounts that are due in date order. And you can do this on any filing date as long as you've got the physical date in the system. Right, okay, so let's have a look at a set of statutory books. Now, there's 3 ways you can search for your clients. I always do it the long way round, which is Select All, Companies, Live Companies. This will bring up all the companies you've got on the account, and you just click on the one you want to work on. Or you can open up the filter box, type the name of the company in and filter for it. Or we can go into the Company tab, select a company, start to type it in, and it will shortlist it. Okay, so now we're looking at the statutory books for Paul Dunn Testing 123. You'll always get the filing dates for the company that you're currently working on appearing for you at the top. Underneath, we have the current officers of the company, and underneath this, we have the current shareholders. So it will already be pre-populated for you. But let's just say now we're going to appoint a new director to this company, i.e. we're going to appoint my wife. So if she didn't exist, you'd have to create her first before we could add her to the company. So to do this, we go into the Persons tab, add a person, add, and then we would add Emma into the system. And the information that you provide is the same information as what you see on an APO1 form, or you key directly on the Companies House website. But I've already got her on the system. Right, so now that we've added Emma into the system, we can now add her to the company. So click on your directors or secretary, whichever one you're appointing. So this is the register of directors. We're going to add a director. Select Emma because we've just added her into the system. Tick that as an appointment. Put in the appointment date, the minuted date, and save. So all we've done here is we've updated the register of directors. Now the proper way to do it is now to get Emma to sign the minute before we lodge the APO1 form at Companies House. Because until she signs the minute, the event's not happened, so you shouldn't be sending anything through to Companies House until this has been signed. So the next stage is to go into documents. And this is where we produce all the minutes and the resolutions for the events that we're doing within the system. So if you think about it logically, what were we doing? So we were working on a director, and we appointed a director. Tick the person we've just appointed to the company, go to the meeting details. What minute or resolution would you like to use? The default's pre-ticked, but if you hit the light bulb, it will expand and tell you what the rest of the documents are. Where was that meeting held? Who is present, absent, and in attendance at that meeting? What are their interests going to be? Because again, you've got the director's register of interest, which doesn't go to Companies House, but it is still a legal requirement to get this part of the register up to date. Basically, what their involvement is going to be within the company. And then we simply click Make Document. So again, all our minutes and resolutions have been drafted by lawyers and agreed by counsel, so you do get proper drafts. So here we have the minute appointing Emma to the company. So in fact, this is what makes the appointment, not the APO1 form. Now, you can produce an APO1 form if you so wish. And to do this, we just simply go into Filing, Director Forms, APO1. Emma would automatically appear because she was the last person that I was working on within the system. Next. This will just bring up the information that's going to populate the APO1 form, and we can preview it. And it will bring up an APO1 form that you can send with the minute. Now, what has happened, just going back to the minute, is a copy of that minute has now gone into my cloud library. So I've got a copy that I produced it for Emma to sign. So when you get it back, you could scan that minute into your desktop and then upload and replace the blank copy with the signed copy. So now that we've got the minute signed, we can now tell Companies House of the change and lodge the APO1 form at Companies House. So if we go into Filing and the Filing Centre, the APO1 form will be sat there waiting for me, and we can file this directly through to Companies House. So if you think of the system and the way it works, the easiest way I can explain it is like a 3-step rule. Step 1, you need to make the change on the system first. Step 2, we then go into documents to produce the relevant paperwork for the event that we're doing within the system. Step 3, we file that change through to Companies House. So what I'm going to do now is a quick resignation. So to the left-hand side of Emma, we've got edit. Exactly the same screen as when we done the appointment, but we now untick that she's no longer appointed and she's resigned. Put in the resignation date, the resignation minute, and save. So step 1, again, we've updated the register. Step 2, we would go into documents and get Emma to sign the minute. Once the minute's been signed, we then send the TMO1 through to Company's House. So if we go in the filing centre, the TMO1 will be sat there waiting for me, and we lodge this straight through to Company's House. And if you stick to this sort of 3-step rule, you can't really go wrong. So underneath, we're now looking at the shareholders. So as you can see, I own the company, I have 100 shares. And if we quickly look at the PSC register, this would also confirm that I own the company and I have 75 to 100% of the company. But what I'm going to do now is transfer 50 of my shares to my wife. So if we click on transfers, we're going to add a share transfer. The transferor is myself, the number of shares transferred, the date of the share transfer, and who's having those shares. Select the share class if you have multiple share types. And what's the remaining share balance for me, because it will produce me a new share certificate with my remaining balance. And how much have I paid, or how much, has Emma paid for those shares. Save. So again, if you think of the 3-step rule, step 1, we've updated the register of transfers. We now need to produce the relevant documents. So into documents, down to transfer shares, and we want the share certificates. So as you can see, we've got Emma's share certificate with her 50 and my remaining balance with 50. So you can print off your share certificates. We need the stock transfer form. And most importantly, the share transfer minute. Now again, the most important thing about the share transfer is the minute, because obviously if the share transfer minute isn't signed, in law that share transfer is never. And the process for doing any of the minutes and documents within the system, the screens are exactly the same. So a bit like when we've done the appointment, you tick the event that we've just done, go to the meeting details. What minute or resolution would you like to use? As previous, the default's pre-ticked, but if we hit the light bulb, it'll expand and tell you what the rest of the documents are. Where was that meeting held? Who was present, absent, and in attendance at the meeting? All the same screens, but if we work our way through and make the document, we now have a share transfer minute. Now behind the scenes, I don't know if you've thought about this, but the PSC's changed. Because I've now gone from a 75 to 100% owner of the company down to a 25 to 50, but Emma has now also come on. Now our system is the only one on the market that's got a fully automated PSC system in it. So if you're ever doing share restructures, allotments or transfers and the PSCs change, the PSC register will update itself. So if we look at the PSC register now, we can see that I've gone from the 75 to 100 down to a 25 to 50, and Emma has now come on. So if we go into the filing centre, those PSC forms are waiting for me to file, and we can send those straight through to Company's House. Now at this stage, Emma would obviously appear as a PSC at Company's House, but she wouldn't show as a shareholder until you've done your next confirmation statement. Now, a majority of our clients would send another confirmation statement in. Because you can send as many confirmation statements as you like throughout the year, you only pay one filing fee, they would always send another one in. But before this, what they would send to the client is what we call a checklist, which basically just tells the client how important it is to make sure the information is correct, that they've got 14 days to check it, and get back to you with any changes. But as you can see, it will list all the information about the company, and there's spaces where you can put in any changes, as I said, if they've forgotten to tell you. And as you can see, now to file a confirmation statement, we simply go into Filing, CSO1, CSO1 confirmation statement, submit, and that's it. The confirmation statement has been sent to Companies House. Underneath, we've got dividend distributions that have taken place within the company. Now, again, a lot of accountants will probably do this on a Word or an Excel template, but within the system, if we go into the Company tab, down to Details, Dividends, and do a distribution, we're going to add a dividend distribution payment, put in the total amount that's come out of the bank account, make sure the year end's correct, and simply put in the date of the payment. Click Make the individual dividend voucher records, and that's it. As you can see, our dividends have automatically been calculated, and we can print off our vouchers, and then we can go back in and produce our dividend minutes. So, like all the other events that we've done within the system, you just tick the event that you've done, and it's all the same screens. Just work your way through. But obviously what we're going to get now at the end is a dividend minute. So here we have our dividend minute. Now, if I quickly just take you through the tabs at the top, although this is a quick demonstration on the software, if you do require a one-to-one, I would be more than happy to do another demo. Under My Office, this is basically where you can add or take staff off, give them different security strings. There are 6 different levels of access from view only up to full access. Select all. This is where you can basically run reports on your companies or your people. You can also run reports for all dividends that have taken place, and also all share transactions that have taken place for the Form 42s. If we go into the Company tab, this will list everything you can do when it comes to a company. And if we go into the Persons tab, we'll list everything you can do when it comes to a person. So the way the system is split up is company and people. If we go into Filing, this is where we send all forms through to Companies House. And as you can see, all the basic forms we can file directly through the system to Companies House. Now, the system does obviously complete the DSO1 form, but just to make you aware, at the moment you cannot send this through to Companies House. Although they have got a beta version, obviously, on the Companies House website, until they put this live, unfortunately, you'll just be able to produce the form and you will still need to send off a check as normal. Documents is basically where you can produce all the minutes and the resolutions within the system. And also, as I mentioned earlier when we were doing our incorporation, where you can do your first board minutes. And also, as you can see, we've got the Register Centre. So if you ever needed to produce a set of registers for your client or for lawyers, I would always select a full set, including those with no entry, which is effectively a full statutory book. And we can just make the registers. But as you can see, every time we make a change on the system, behind the scenes, all the registers are going to be automatically updated for you. And if we just quickly go through to the PSCs, our PSC register is done as well. If we go into the Companies House tab, this is where we keep a library of blank forms, and we also have the Companies Act for you to refer to. Sign out is obviously sign out. I hope you've enjoyed the demonstration. As I said, if you would like a one-to-one, then please get in contact with myself. My name is Paul Dunn, and I'm one of the directors of the company. And my email address is paul@fcls.co.uk. Thanks a lot for your time.